Order. Derek, I know you like chock-a-block agendas that we delivered for you today.
It's his fault?
I gotta blame somebody.
I do, and I apologize, I've got a hard stop at 10 today, something came up.
Okay.
driving out, so.
Understand. We'll get through as much of the agenda as we can today, and I was just talking with the chairwoman of our select board about maybe making this the final meeting of our 2023 season for the WRA and resuming in January, unless we have objections. Ken, is there any reason we can't make it?
No, nothing I
through
have
the-
on the agenda that needs to be done in the immediate future.
Okay. Let's get through the most important items on today's agenda then, since we'll be taking a hiatus for a few weeks. Roll call, Ken?
We have Derek Sullivan, Judith Whiteside, Dan Butler, and Ken Buckland. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And let's see, we started the meeting at 9:06. And resident comments, do we have any comments from our many residents in the audience today? Linda? No? Jared?
Well, I guess I'm gonna say thank you to everybody for my time when I was here as an intern. I just finished up a couple weeks ago, and it's been a great experience. I just wanna thank everybody for that.
Well, great.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
your help in the meantime as well.
How were your exams?
I'm very well, I've still got a couple more to go, but very
Okay.
well so far anyway.
When do you get through?
Next Tuesday is the last one, so.
Oh, wow, that's
That's
late.
right up close to it, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
right.
really late. When do you have a long break?
Till end of January somewhere, I think.
Oh,
Not
okay.
exactly when, but, you know.
So they switch you around with that. Yeah, it
Yeah,
used to
that's
be.
terrible.
It used to be you'd be out early December and then back in earlier January.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, thank you again for your support of the WRA and the great work you did. And you could do us one more favor, if you would, spread the word among your classmates. If you see a talented future intern for the WRA, you could steer them Mr. Buckland's way.
Absolutely, will do.
Or
Thank you.
even a town planner as well, too.
Pardon?
Even a town planner as well, too.
Town planner? What?
Looking for a town planner.
We've had an assistant town planner out for a long time.
Okay. Okay, if you see any assistant town planners out there, Jared, we know what we're looking for.
Good to know.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, authority business. Discussion of possible vote on MIPA scope and review of Wareham Village Urban Renewal Plan, et cetera, et cetera. Ken?
Yeah, we put out an RFP for a MIPA review of the urban renewal plan, which is necessary to get it officially approved by the state, so we can apply the powers of the redevelopment authority to the downtown. The idea of financial and commitments, takings as well, that we may think appropriate that are in the plan now that we have already. The cost of this, we got one proposal in, and I talked to another firm about the environmental notification form and the EIR that follows it up. Apparently under the MIPA regulations, since we have an environmental justice neighborhood adjacent to the downtown and affected by the downtown, it requires that we do an EIR as well as ENF. The environmental notification form is the first simple form that is prepared that lays out all the potential impacts of the plan or the action that's going to be taking place. The EIR is is like an environmental impact statement. Is the big document that goes through the details of the scope that is prepared by the MIPA office to address the issues that they see fit to include in the EIR. The cost of that is estimated by the firm that submitted, which is Fort Point Associates, a good firm for doing EIRs and MIPA scopes, was $110,000. So that's a question as to whether or not we apply our money to this scoping that's necessary for an urban renewal plan to be adopted.
What was the name of the company again, Ken, please?
Fort Point Associates.
Thank you.
Did you say Fort Point?
Fort Point, yeah, they are at,
They have point with an E?
no,
Point, no, okay, yep. Thank you.
No E in for it either.
Forte.
Point is regularly spelled with an E.
Not in this case, though.
That's why I was asking. It's too mean to be mean at 9:15.
Poet.
Ye old spelling.
Do we hear any discussion? Ken is
I
laid out.
talked to another firm, Green Steel Environmental, who does a lot of environmental work as well, with the idea of strategizing a political move that would try to reduce the scope of the EIR so that we would reduce our costs to get the process done. Because what happens when you put the ENF in, the environmental notification form is a standard form and format, but the scope is determined by the MIPA office. And that's where the cost comes into play. If we get somebody who has political connections, we can maybe get some better deal on the scope from the MIPA office, but I don't think we're well situated for negotiating a different, lesser scope of the EIR.
So Ken, if I may, Mr. Chairman, kind of going through this, my thought is there are opportunities to have grant offsets on this to minimize the budgetary impact.
I'm not sure if there are grants that are available for a MIPA review.
Okay.
We can look into that. There's potentially money of some kind that we can put in towards it. Since it's an environmental justice neighborhood that's affected by it, we could even use community development money to apply to it as well.
Okay. Ms. Whiteside, any thoughts, questions for Ken?
Well, I remember that we had sort of a preliminary discussion about this cost, maybe a couple of meetings ago, and I didn't like the price tag then, and I don't like the price tag now. But can we go forward? What are the costs of not going forward? How much of a stall does it create, I guess is.
Well, we could go forward with ENF, at least anyway, and do that and see what the scope of the EIR is, and make a secondary determination if we've wasted our money on ENF or not, or if we have a good scope that we can proceed and get the project done.
So what's the ENF cost?
Probably about 15,000.
15,
1.5.
Yeah.
1.5?
Okay.
Is that a method of approach that you would recommend?
I think our total cost is gonna end up in the $100,000 range regardless. So I think we have to if we're gonna go ahead with this, we should be prepared to spend that much money.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of what we have.
Yeah, I
Those are available
think
for
we
us.
have to be prepared to spend that, even though we may get a good deal out of it and some lesser scope it's available to us if we get some good group like Fort Point Associates to do it. We still have a possibility of having to spend the total amount of money anyway.
So it's about 1/5 of our entire reserve.
That's right.
Is it that small? I thought we only had around $700,000 in our accounts right now, Ken.
Yeah, about 600.
So about okay. It seems like a big chunk of our available funds for something that we may not actually implement. When you think about the powers that you're talking about, if we want to be able to use the authorities, to implement aspects of the urban renewal plan, that would be things like takings, which right now I don't think we have the sentiment among the WRA that would support such a thing. Not immediately anyways. It would seem like we'd be putting more good money after bad if we try to do this. Whereas we can put the urban renewal plan on the shelf and pull it down. We talked about that at one meeting.
We still have to spend the money at some point if we are to proceed with it as is.
Right. Yeah, I would say if in the future it looked like we might need to do takings and it was a good idea, then it might be worth the $110,000 to make sure we have that authority. Right now, even if we did the MEPA review and the EIR, ENF, and got the plan approved, I don't foresee us taking any properties right now in the foreseeable future, unless, I could be wrong, maybe other members of the WRA see it differently, but I wonder if we're spending $110,000 potentially for powers we won't need or won't be willing to use.
Well, I think it's something that if we want to affect change, we can use it as a threat as well as an actual implementation action.
So I think what I would suggest is a decision tree, one of these decision trees. We spend it, and these are the results that we could possibly gain. We don't spend it, we come to what are the ramifications of that? I'd like to see it, I mean,
Laid out as
yeah, more,
implications.
yeah. And I don't think you can put a price tag on the progress, but hold on to your hat. I'm not averse to spending money to make money or to invest. And I think that the effort that has been put into the WV1, et cetera, has been a lot of effort. It's been time consuming, but it has, you know, it's brought a lot of people more information about what needs to be done. And the information keeps changing in terms of climate change, you know, sea rise and all that other stuff, but I don't, what else are we gonna do with $600,000?
Yeah,
That would be part of my question to you, or to
I mean, we
us.
don't have any goals set for that money as that right now anyway.
That's what I'm saying, and
All
again,
we have is the strategy, the economic development strategy that we adopted.
right. So do you see what I'm saying, Dan?
I do, and actually you bring up a good point. We've spoken previously in meetings about a strategy and priorities, budget priorities for the WRA, and we haven't brought that discussion to any kind of conclusion. We talked about maybe making that a priority for 2024, actually devising or updating our strategy. And I would go right to that very same point you just made, maybe in a different way, but I can think of a lot of other ways to spend $110,000 that would make the downtown better than finalizing this report. And so I'd like to actually discuss, before we spend $110,000 to finalize this, discuss at our next meeting, what are the other things that might take precedence over this?
I think that's a really good idea. I mean,
I think that goes into the decision tree too, as well.
that goes into the decision tree. I mean, you know, one of the most visible, noticeable, and smellable problems are the trash containers. I know everybody thinks that's weird, but why would you have a great event and be smelled out?
Right.
You know, I mean, the sip and stroll, a lot of towns are doing the same thing, and they're great. If Miss Lorna Brunel wants to do this and is continuing to have that concept, should we be spending $100,000 to clean up the trash bin issue? Which I
Right,
see as an issue.
right.
I don't know. So I would ask that we go, that can be prepared in mid-January, whenever we have our next meeting, to to do what I call the decision tree, the options. Where
Yeah.
else are we gonna be spending? How else could we spend the money? Would we spend the money? Should we spend the money? And what is our annual, or what's our monthly income? And
Ken, I think that's a great suggestion. Maybe we make that the first order of business in January 2024. Our next meeting will be 11 January.
I'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am. Ken, is that reasonable? Would you be prepared to be able to
Yeah. it
tee
would
up,
be.
that discussion and include, as part of that decision tree analysis, an analysis of alternatives, other ways we could spend $110,000 that might have more immediate consequential impact on downtown?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on then to the second item. Discussion of possible vote on a WRA grant or grant support to public art projects associated with Wareham Village revitalization. This was a follow-up to the discussion we had at our last meeting. Mr. Sullivan brought up, as an example of something we could do on Merchants Way to make the village more attractive, the possibility of a mural along the seawall near the fire department. We also have a big ugly wall on one of the buildings close to the train depot. That's a possible palette or a spot where we could have public art. We'd have to work with the building owner, might have to provide a grant to make something like that happen, might have to provide a grant to pay for an artist or artists to do some public art. And it might be one of these alternatives, Judith, that we could consider, rather than spend $110,000 on a plan that we may not implement. This could be a concrete way of improving the environment down there, along with cleaning up dumpsters. Any thought on public art? We only initiated the discussion at our previous meeting, but I thought it was worthy of some more consideration.
Schifoni is, I talked to Schifoni before about putting a mural on the back of his building, and he's been asking when that will happen.
He has asked when, really?
Yeah,
So he's open to the idea,
absolutely.
okay.
And their cultural council of the state has grant funds for art projects.
Really? Okay. What would we need to do, or what could we, the WRA, do, or should we do anything, or is that,
We either put up the money or get the grant and then put out a request for proposals or,
can we go just directly to the state as opposed to through our cultural council?
yeah, we can.
Okay. I think it's a great idea. I've seen on some of the pop-ups that come up on my phone for unknown reasons, some of the art and their trompe-l'oeil paintings
Right.
on walls, and they're magnificent, particularly in Europe, on
Yeah,
tall buildings that are
Mhm.
dreadful, and you look at the before and then the after, and you don't even know you're in the
It
same
disappears,
world.
yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I really like you have some good ideas.
I agree. I do. Well, Ken, that sounds like something that we have the wherewithal to pursue. If you wanted, can you craft a grant proposal that would include something like the Sifoni building
yeah, good.
and the fire
Well, do you do
department
it to-
wall?
Do you do it for a specific building?
I think we do it for a specific building, yes, because there's gonna be a different amount of paint that's used for a different space. And it's gonna cost a different amount for,
So what other big blank walls are down there besides those two?
the fire station wall and,
Those are the main ones, and then I'd include wayfinding signage in as part of it.
Yeah,
Mm.
I would too.
Yeah, that's a good
we can do
idea.
that too.
Yeah, which we can also go through the one-stop program for that.
We can.
Yeah, that should be from the,
Yeah, they like funding those programs.
yeah.
And Ken, the Sifoni buildings, that's not the one that, the other one I'm thinking of is the one that's.
It's the biggest building down there.
Okay, so the one next to it, the smaller one that's got the carpets in the window and has the facade on the back
I think if we
falling
put
down.
paint on that wall, it may fall down.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody who is a quasi-engineer, knows a little bit about buildings, who said that you'd have to do some work to basically fix that back wall, to plaster it, to make it ready for public art. That might be worth,
That building would not be one we would target.
No,
no?
I wouldn't
And
put
why
a
not?
finger anywhere near that building myself.
That's one of the ones we are targeted for taking and tearing down.
Right,
Well, it'd be better if the owner would take it down.
but if it's not taken down in the next 10 years, would it be better if it looked nicer? If we have public art next to it, and public art on that building, that would seem to,
Problem is, it may fall down in the next 10 years.
Yeah, we're not, I really don't think we should touch private property, and he's
well,
not
that would
been,
have to be with the owner's agreement, obviously.
We can tell them that that is art. It's called urban.
it's called broken windows,
Yeah, that's right.
broken window syndrome. Perfect example.
Okay, well, Ken, do you think you could craft a grant to at least get this idea off the ground with the Sifoni building and the fire department?
Yeah, well, what I'll
See
do is
what-
I'll check to see what the schedule is for cultural council grants at this point. See if there's something that's reasonably scheduled, and if not, then we consider putting up WRA money and what it costs to put a mural on the back of the,
But we have our own cultural council too. Depends on what the cost is.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of paint, it's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, I've heard they can be pretty expensive, and I've seen what our cultural council doles out, which is peanuts. So I don't know that,
It was just a suggestion.
I don't think it would pay for what we're talking about.
They may have some seed money though, that, or match money
Yeah,
that works.
it might look better if we,
The local cultural council,
Yeah.
yeah, I think their awards are, they get about, what, 5K a year or something like that? Maybe it's a little more, but I didn't
That's
think,
bad,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's a couple, usually theirs are a couple $100 for people, if you
Yeah.
put out 500 here, 500 there.
but I think it looks
Pretty
better
modest.
if we have applied in both places.
No, I have I think we should reach out to them, why wouldn't we?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So at least a letter of support from them or something like that would be great.
Do I hear a motion to request that Ken
Moved.
craft such a grant proposal? I hear a motion from Ms. Whiteside
So the motion is what?
to request that the town planner craft a grant proposal for public art.
Proposal or proposals.
Yeah, I don't think we need
Merchant's
to,
Way.
I don't think we need a motion on that, I think Ken can just do that.
Okay, then I
And
withdraw.
so
my motion.
we're just applying for grants, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
all
That's
right, then
within
I
our-
withdraw.
No
my
motion needed? Okay. All right. And in the future, we may have to be ready to pony up some seed money from the WRA and get some skin in the game. But Ken, if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
When you write the RFP, make sure that you write pretty up dumpster. Dumpsters is part of what they need to be.
Well, that's a great segue,
I'm sorry.
a great segue, Judith, to our next item, discussion and possible vote on WRA grant support to dumpster consolidation along Merchants Way. It looks like Ken has a proposal here for us. Do I see a fishing pier in the water there?
What'd you say?
Looks like there's a fishing pier out in the water.
It's a tent floating.
Oh, yeah, I put that on there, that was my sketch of the pavilion
Huh.
and the coastal pathway and the fishing pier.
The pavilion looks great, Ken.
I thought it was a blue kayak upside down.
This, Jared will recognize, because he put this together.
Sorry, Jared. Not this part, good man.
I don't have any,
Did it freeze up on you?
no, I don't have it plugged in. There we go. All right, so what Jared did was he walked out there and counted parking spaces and
Okay.
identify dumpster locations. And I wanted to point out where they fit on the private property and where they're in the public property, the merchant's way property. I'll put this on full size.
Yeah, if you put on a slideshow, as a slide, I think it should just, yeah, increase in size. There we go.
Okay.
All right. When you come into the Merchant's Way from Main Street, the first series of dumpsters are the most problematic, I think. These ones that sit right here behind the gas station and the convenience store.
Oh, okay.
Those are the biggest ones, and they apparently are in the public property.
Oh.
So they are on our land.
So is it within the street layout, Ken?
It's not a street layout, but they're in the public property.
So what are the little blue dots? I can't,
You
Dumpsters.
see the blue dots, those are the dumpsters,
those are the dumpsters?
right?
So the far left is, those are the ones that run our town property.
Well, that's easy. Move them.
I think we wanna cover them up, moving them is just gonna transfer the location of the. of the
So
land
Ken, if I,
used.
looking at that, Ken, the five private, one handicap, that's Cumbies?
Yeah, that's the gas station.
And Cumbie's is the 9, I think, from the.
The nine?
Yeah, the 9 and the 1 handicap down here is Cumbies.
Okay, yeah.
So what are you proposing, Ken, that the dumpsters be moved to occupy a private parking spot? One of those 11 private parking spots? Or we consolidate one or two big dumpsters
This is
and,
behind the bait shop,
right?
and this is the, this is the
Gas
bait
station.
shop, and this is the hairdresser.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I spoke to Nick Santalucido about his dumpster. He pays about $80 a month,
I see the bait shop?
bait shop,
Okay.
right? And he was leaving that open so the public could throw trash in there and not throw it on the ground, and then it filled up so fast he had to finally lock it.
these ones are the most problematic ones, I think, in terms of visibility and the size. These are 8-yard, large size ones that are,
Well,
Yeah,
Ken,
when one of them repaved something, they'd moved him over to the other side of the road in the parking spots for a little while, so.
So, do you have the schematic of the other end, the fire department, fire station end of the road? Because to me, that end is worse, because it's narrower.
I disagree that it's worse, but we'll go
Okay.
down that way too.
All right,
This is the aerial photo,
yeah,
it's showing the dumpsters there.
yes, there's two there, right? Right,
There are two,
Yeah.
yeah.
can you go further up to the left, toward the fire station? Okay,
Now, this
He's
is-
got static pictures, he's not on an active
okay,
map.
all right, yep, sorry.
that's okay.
That's right. The dumpster here behind the carpet place,
That's on town land?
is on town land. And these ones behind the Mexican restaurant and Mama Mary's and the store along here are also in
The liquor
Public.
store,
public liquor store, they're also in public property as well too.
So I don't want to sound heavy-handed, but as the landlord, the town could just say, get your dumpsters off our property
I agree.
and make them go away altogether. Or we have a scheme for you to consolidate dumpsters, hide them. Here's the game plan. But either of those would be better than having helter-skelter, smelly dumpsters all over the place on Merchant's Way.
I
And-
don't
and we
like
have a lot of
having
power.
encroached properties on town property. I think it's very bad business. And particularly if we want to move forward with a reinvigoration of that space, if you have given, what's the term, when it's adverse possession or something like that, after you've let somebody use something for a long time, then that becomes,
Adverse possession, yeah.
yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, we're not, adverse possession of the sovereign does not happen if we were if we had this, if we just bought this property and they'd had continuous and open notorious use of it 20 years prior, while it was public, while it was private, that would be an issue, they could come after for that.
Okay.
But we have owned that for, as, you know, I'd say,
Forever.
yeah.
So can we ask them to move them?
Sure, you can,
We asked them to move them, but I think that maybe there's another option as well too.
Yeah.
These are the ones further up. The fire station is just to the left of this picture here. That's, and that's their dumpster on the side here. But all these are in the private property, the ones
Okay.
that exist along here.
So we have no issue with those in terms of them encroaching on town property.
No, but we can still ask them to cover them up.
And can we ask them because there's an ordinance that requires that?
No, there's not an ordinance that requires that.
Okay. Should we have an ordinance that requires that? I guess
You'd
I'm,
be heavy-handed with it, yeah.
Don't we have, when new
I thought
things
the
come
Board of
before the
Health-
planning board, aren't they required to shield their dumpsters?
Yeah, they are. That's if somebody comes forward with,
Right, with a new project.
right,
Well, I think we encourage people to say, you have a front facade on Main Street, and you have a back facade on, I call it Bacadecas Way.
there's no backyard when you're on
Right, but it looks
Main Street.
grody.
Yeah,
Okay, it's a really old term. And so we encourage people to move, I think the idea is to encourage people to improve their own property by, join hands and share I don't know, maybe they fill those dumpsters up weekly, but the other ones, I think we need to be a little more aggressive about getting them off our property.
yeah, or having them covered up,
yeah, I agree.
I guess they're gonna have to put their garbage somewhere.
NMP, not my problem.
no.
Yeah, they
we
could pay
are-
the town rent.
I think we want the
For that
businesses
space.
to be successful though.
Yeah, that's part of, we are a business-friendly organization as well, so I think
Right.
way on both sides. It's, you wanna try and find some locations, maybe you can combine some spots, or
Mhm.
that's easier to screen and such,
Mhm.
but the idea that we're gonna tell them, get it the heck out of there, I don't care where you're putting your stuff, isn't,
Can you go back to that one? The first one you showed, the one that included, yeah. The one that had, yes, that one. So where is their property?
The property line that runs along here.
So the four on the left are on town property, the other two are on private property.
so there's complete encroachments on that, Ken,
Yeah.
including, looks like landscaping, some other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are the worst ones, and they need a lot of work on. They've done some landscape work and driveway limitations.
Isn't there a shed out there too? Right, you just tapped it with your,
The shed, yeah.
yeah.
I thought that had
The
a
shed is in their
dumpster.
property though.
Then what's the square above it? Looks like
That's a landscape island.
there's a landscape island next to that shed? Wow,
Yeah, there's some curb in there.
okay. Well, because we're running out of time, I would encourage you to, I think that's a great visual. I would encourage us to work on this end of the road, of our property, while the concept is to make the dumpsters disappear visually.
And, well, you mentioned the smell too.
Yeah, well,
But consolidating them and making them disappear would be a nice
would be a start,
start.
yeah. How often are they empty, did we know?
I don't know.
Jared, do you know?
It's me.
No. Must be weekly.
Geez, yeah, I would think so. It must be at least weekly.
I don't know. So, oh, the other question was, how many different companies are represented back there in terms of the dumpsters? At least 3 that I can think of.
Where ones that they get picked up,
Huh?
ones that are picked up,
Well, when's their pickup, but also I think there are 3 different providers. 3 different companies that own the
yeah,
dumpster.
that actually do the
Yeah,
pickup, that's probably right.
I think most of them have consolidated though, like, I think Cavosa's independent still.
yeah,
Nauset is part of Harvey.
okay.
Harvey's part of Harvey. AVC's part of Harvey.
Oh, okay, all right. So there's
I
2.
wanted to touch on something else here, the enclosures cost about 25,000 each for an 8-yard dumpster,
For a single dumpster?
for a single dumpster.
Are those slatted things?
There are a couple of pictures I'm gonna show you of those,
Okay.
that Jared found. Typical enclosure is 10 by 10 by 8 foot high, which is enough to fill a parking space, so you take up one parking space to do that. It's gotta be 12 foot clear from the open gate, so when you come in, because those trucks aren't, they need a little bit of play on more than 2 feet on each side of the dumpster.
Yeah, I would assume we're talking that any enclosure would essentially take 2 parking spots.
But 1.5 anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so 2, I mean, we
gotta be
can't,
So we can put in 2 together and,
Yeah.
we're taking up 3 spaces.
unless we're creating a motorcycle parking spot or something.
Right. So we have our enclosures of different styles, allowing the people to go in and dump at the same time as gets covered up, and
That's the $25,000 version.
this would be more than 25, because this is a double. So there are
A lot of
2,
money.
Yeah, but it's good looking. I mean,
No, it is, no.
yeah, it's really good looking, but that
Dramatically
kind of money
improved.
is ridiculous.
And this one has got a green wall, and that reduces some of the smell, because the evergreens
I love that.
reduce terpenes or other chemicals that reduce the smell of other organic material.
So those plantings are on tiers, right?
Yeah, they're on racks.
Yeah.
that,
Cool.
That's pretty neat.
I love it.
was an interesting one. So our option is doing grants for dumpster enclosures, putting an ordinance in place that says they have to be enclosed. And if we're gonna be business friendly, we're gonna offer some money to get them to do it. Of course, if it's on town land, there's less of a reason to spend the money. since they're already being rent-free on our land.
So Ken, do you have a comprehensive proposal to put forward to us now that would require WRA support and action? Are you doing this now to get us thinking about it and prepare the groundwork for a future proposal?
Is for a future proposal.
Okay.
Wanted to find out what the feeling was about putting money into this.
I like it. I like cleaning up that back area. You have to clean it up. It has to be cleaned up in order to encourage future investment.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do we do it heavy-handed, or do we,
Well, I think we have a heavy hand that we could use if we need to. Many of these dumpsters are on the town's land. We probably would be, it would probably be more wise to have it done in collaboration with the business owners there so that they don't feel like they're being forced to do something that's expensive, that they, right now, they haven't had to worry about it.
Right.
But we need to make them worry about it because it's something we, the town, need to do something about. And it's a righteous proposal to try to clean that up, and it will do what Ms. Whiteside just said. I think it'll lead the way to other further investment or other usage of Merchants Way in a way that will make that downtown more prosperous and more attractive. So it's probably worth collaborating with the local businessmen, telling them that we have an issue here, you have an issue, your dumpsters are on town property, they either need to move onto private property, or we need to come up with a plan that we all think is a good one. And I'd be willing to put WRA money towards something like that if we could clean up Merchants Way.
maybe it's WRA money if it's on town property?
That would make sense,
Right.
yeah.
So can you go back to that schematic? I'm sorry, I need to see it again, but I think what we need to do, because I agree with you, is come up with an area that's on town property.
Yeah, I don't wanna go to them theoretically, I'd like to have
I
Right,
wanna have a
right.
schematic,
Solution.
yeah, I wanna have a solution
Right.
plotted out on something like that, so that I can see how far I have to walk to dump my trash. And I want to know what it's gonna look like after you've kicked me to the curb. And I think offering a solution that is user-friendly and town-friendly is a much better approach than the Judy Whiteside approach. Why are you laughing?
I would agree. Derek, you're the man with the most at stake here as the town administrator. This is your town's land we're talking about. Do you agree with that step-by-step approach? We try to come up with a concrete proposal that we know
yeah, I
we
would
can
go
bring
that.
to the business owners, and that we know there's a price tag to, and then we can figure out how we might fund it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with to the business owners with a half bleep plan. Yeah, it's, you have to have a solid plan, bring it to them and say, this is what we'd like to do, and, listen to their input. They might have some really good suggestions,
Mhm.
some ideas, and, move forward from there.
The other thing I think that we talk about, or we at least recognize, is that alleyway beside El Mariachi, which is blocked off for great public use, but I think that's part of what we sell as part of this.
I don't know what you mean, what.
Well,
they
have you given them, that's town property.
Yeah, no, I mean, what does one have to do with the other, if it's the,
Well, we've made a very attractive area for,
I'm Joe Business down the street, I don't care about that. So I just don't see the next, I understand what you're saying, but what do they care?
well, you blocked off a street from El Mariachi, so what are you gonna give to me?
We blocked off a street that anybody could apply for, and only El Mariachi did,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so.
Okay.
I think in this case, in this block, what we do is we come up with, since this is land that has to be in public property for the dumpsters, that we decide whether or not we're gonna put dumpster enclosures on public property, and if so, this is the place to put them.
Mhm.
And we decide how many, and I think at least 2 have to go in here.
Do you have the doorways on that schematic, the back doors?
I don't think the back doors are actually identified.
Because that's gonna be an issue on the Mama Mary's end.
Yeah, you can see, I think the door is almost right where those dumpsters are.
Yeah,
Then going to the opposite side this way.
right,
That is a big time delivery location, especially since the liquor store is reopened.
right.
And others, so you'll get somehow, through some great truck driving, back right into there.
Right, so
So-
I think we need to know where the doors
So we put a double enclosure here, a single enclosure here, and a single enclosure here.
Yeah, El Mariachi has, that building, it has water issues in the basement.
are.
So El Mariachi currently has their, the shed there
Mhm.
for dry storage, which
But
is
that's on-
fine.
That's on public property
You're
too.
right, yeah. We've allowed them to do that. My problem is I was driving through there the other day and it's, they're getting a little too used to it from some of the things they're storing out there, so
Yeah, I
there'll be a
think-
conversation coming to them, and a nice one, just asking that get cleaned up and removed, and they really can't store that sort of stuff outside on our property.
Ken, what would be the next way forward? An RFP so that a firm could come forward to the town with a proposal, that a firm that does this sort of thing, that has put those kinds of enclosures up in other towns in Massachusetts?
We talked to an engineer about the design of enclosure.
You say talk to an engineer. Do we have a town engineer that does that?
We have a consulting engineer that works for the town, yeah,
Okay.
Allen Major.
Yeah, Dan, so we've got who did our old downtown parking study? I don't know why Kimberly Horn is in my brain, but I don't think it was
It
them.
wasn't Kimley Horn, it was, Northern European name.
Waspy McWaspison.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, I can find it, so, but they had some parking things, they might have some layout stuff as well, we can pull from that, steal some work that's already been done. Dan, I'm guessing if we were going to hire an engineer to do some of the layouts, you're looking between 25 and probably 50K for the engineering on it, so, everything's 25,000
It
nowadays.
seems like, it, yeah.
It used to be, you remember when everything was 4,000,
Like a
now it's
$5 bill.
10,000, yeah, you know?
Well, that's another good example of something that I think WRA money would be well spent on improving that part of our town, Merchants Way.
Yeah, that's part of it, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's part of like the downtown revitalization
Yeah.
grants, things like that, that's even part of probably placemaking, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think these are the worst ones on this end. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, and there's some railing we need to fix that we've got the boards for,
On the other side there.
yeah, no, right behind there, they're, a little bit for, yeah, cause they're, a lot of the pickups with, back into them and just destroy the boards, yeah, it's, but when they've got,
Really?
oh, yeah. So when they've got the trailer hitch on there, they forget about that and,
Yeah, because there's some bollards in there someplace to keep people from, well, they're not bollards, they're those cement things next to the building that we don't want to touch,
yeah.
which make it almost impossible to swing through that, well, you don't drive through that alleyway anymore anyway,
No.
but that's where a lot of the, you can tell people are backing into those all of the time, because they've got paint streaks all over them.
I'd like to spend, I'd make a motion to put up 25,000 of WRA money to get a designer to come up with concepts for dumpster enclosures in these spots.
So Ken, what would we get out of there? The design, cause yes, we
Design
want,
and cost,
yeah, the design, the cost, recommended locations and.
right.
Yeah, I'd like to get something, and maybe if it's, I know it seems like a lot of money, but if it's me going down and saying to, you know, Joe or Jane, business owner, hey, I think you should put it there, why do you think that? So,
Yeah.
sometimes having an outside entity helping that out shows some forethought into it.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So Ken, going back to your motion, would that motion then give us an end result of an action plan, an actionable proposal that we could actually implement?
Yeah, it'll give us concepts for enclosing the dumpsters that we can negotiate with the property owners, the business owners.
So can we do an approximate cost of 25? Because if it's 27, I don't wanna not do it. I don't know how you get around that, but,
I'm gonna say 35 then,
Up to 35?
yeah.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to commit up to $35,000 of WRA funding to enlist a designer to develop an action plan, an actionable plan for dumpster consolidation along Merchants Way. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, I hear none, so it passes unanimously, 400.
a New Year's resolution, yes.
So Ken, thank you. Thank you for the proposal. Thank you, Jared, for the good work behind, that laid the groundwork for us being able to take a step forward on this. And Ken, I guess at the next meeting then, we'll just look for a progress report?
Right, I'll see if I can get an engineer on board,
Okay, thank you.
if not our consultant engineer.
And maybe we can enlist the assistance of a solid waste company or trash
Oh,
company.
yeah, trash coming in,
See
they
if-
get them involved in it too.
Yeah, see if we can't, see if we can't get them to discount some stuff back there or something like that. And it'd be neat to see if we could, rather than 2 dumpsters, move down to 1, maybe it's a little larger, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Those are the types of things. But definitely getting, maybe a local company or something would help offset some of the costs or give a reduction for a year or 2,
That's a good
Mhm.
idea.
so.
Yeah, and maybe instead of 3 dumpster companies going in and out of there, we'd only have 1 dumpster company going in and out.
Yeah, that's and
Okay.
I'll tell you, that's been one of the big things with the trash programs. We used to have up to 6 different trucks, and it could be all week long,
Mhm.
and the impact to our roads and to the residences, so. And some of them where the trash truck has to back down into the location, you know, you're hearing that beep multiple times a week, so.
Ken, thank you. I know we have about 2 minutes before your hard stop, is that right, Derek? Or actually, maybe
Yeah.
not even a minute.
Well, I'm looking at the room, they haven't started piling in yet, so, but.
What I'd like to do while we still have you, can we jump to discussion of possible vote on creation, composition, nomination, and appointment of members of the Wareham Village Coastal Path Steering Committee? Ken brought this up as something that might help us devise a meaningful and well-supported plan with public input. we've talked about who we might appoint to that committee. I've mentioned that I've spoken with Michael Kiernan, a property owner at 267 Main Street. Michael has told me that he is willing to serve on the committee.
His
He-
name again?
Michael Kiernan, an attorney.
Mhm.
Kearney, Kiernan Reedy, I think is the company.
He owns the office beside the fire
Right.
department.
And I'd be willing to approach Grace Morrison as another person that I think would be interested. She's motivated, she's a resident with a lot of good ideas, and she's done things to try to bring a music scene to Wareham, and I think that's one of the things we ultimately envisioned for Wareham Village, is some kind of revitalized music scene. So if there are no objections, I'd like to approach Grace. And does anybody else have any other suggestions for people that
So
would be strong contributors to such a steering committee?
what size are we looking for?
Mm.
What's,
I would normally say a committee should be small, but in this case, we're not looking for a committee that will vote and take action on things. We're looking for a committee that will provide a lot of insight and commentary. So I would say we could go large, 7, 9 members. And in my experience with the advisory group that we had for the urban renewal plan, had that been larger, I think it could have done more.
I apologize.
I would say 9 would be ideal.
12 to 15 is a sweet spot
Is it?
for committees, yeah.
Really? Okay. Then 12 to 15, right?
Well, why don't you ask, is it Kendall Peabody from Lucky Goat?
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend him. I think his name is Andrew Costello, Mr. Costello, who lives right behind where the,
On Sawyer Street?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
He has been
Yeah.
an opponent,
6 Sawyer Street, Andrew.
yeah, he's been an opponent of, tall buildings and all that
Right,
other
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But,
Which is fine. I mean,
yeah,
that's an
I think
opinion we
it's-
need to hear.
yeah, it is an opinion you need to hear.
Okay,
I think his first name is Andrew.
it is, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Andrew Costello, okay,
And Kendall.
and Kendall. I'll talk to Kendall. I talk to him probably once a week.
I sent you an email, Dan, with a list of names.
I saw those, yeah, that was a good list.
What was the list? You have the
Uh,
list there?
I do,
Okay,
yep, let me pull it up.
sure. Somebody already did the work, I don't need to do it again.
Let's see.
This is the Merchants Way Initiatives group, is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, the coastal
Right.
path and facilities, coastal facilities.
Both of them?
Yeah,
Ken had
they're under one grant.
Ken had a number of recommendations. Nick Santalucido from the Bait Shop, Jim Kalkanis, a manager of Minerva's, Roy Edwards from the Nemasket Kayak Center, Michael Angelini, Buzzards Bay Coalition,
Does the Nemasket kayak still exist?
Yes.
Where?
E.D. Makepeace.
No, they're out of there.
Oh, they are.
He's storing somewhere else.
Down on the Onset Bay
Nope,
building?
no, I would keep,
Yeah,
I
keep that
would,
there.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't think that's,
So, okay, you're gonna send me that list too, so I don't have to write it all
I'll send
down.
that to you.
yeah, I would hold off on,
Mary Labonte and Ann Eisenmenger were the other two that Ken recommended. And while you were out, Derek, Ken recommended, he said the sweet spot for a committee of this sort, a steering committee, would be 12 to 15 members.
oh,
I think you need to put somebody from either the Historic District or Historic Commission on this, because
that's a
again,
good
they
idea.
are intimately involved in
Alright,
the regions of the, on both ends of. Sorry.
so, is this an actual committee, or are we talking agendas, talking public records,
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
all that stuff?
Yeah,
What
how
is
would it
this?
operate, Ken?
This is a sounding board for the designers on the coastal facilities.
Who do you have from the Wareham Village Association recommended?
Calcanis and Labonte.
Okay, so did you, can't think of her name, heads it up.
Mhm.
Did we recommend her?
No.
Or- No.
Yeah, it's a
McGraw.
good idea though.
Tracy McGraw.
Tracy McGraw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Tracy. I couldn't remember her name for a sec.
I know, I can't, yeah.
So you would say no, not to recommend her, or she's
No, I would
busy?
put her-
I think you
McGraw.
need to invite her, yeah.
Okay. Tracy McGraw.
And I like it with the local businesses that are in the area, but we should also consider those with the expertise, maybe that are residents that maybe don't have the financial interest in the area, but have the interest in making the town better. I would also look at, obviously Wareham Fire has a big part there, so see if there's somebody from the fire. You couldn't have Dominic there since he's on the finance committee, I don't think, since it's,
You can't be on it.
yeah, so. I'm trying to think, running through the options. You have, who owns the old laundromat across from the fire station?
Nazi.
Nazi, I would, so there's a whole bunch of people in this, if you're going 12 to 15. Getting 12 to 15 people scheduled is,
Yeah, I think the advantage of it being big is you don't need all 12 or 15 there.
yeah, that's why you don't have to worry about quorum guidelines or anything, if they're working, you have to see how you're gonna set this up too, so.
Yeah, Ken, talking to the contractor that's putting the plan together for the coastal pathway, do they have a preference for how a steering committee should operate? Are they gonna just rely on us to assemble it and have it at the ready?
Rely on us to assemble it, and they'll just use it for
Okay,
their sounding board for advancing the design.
why don't we do this? Why don't we, I'll take all the recommendations I just heard, I've made note of them, and I've got the ones that you sent me, Ken. I'll consolidate all of those into one list, send that around to all of you, FYI, not for discussion or to meet online, but just so that you can see the consolidated proposed list. And then if there are other names that we've neglected to think of right now that would be a good person to add to this committee, I think we should shop it around to those people. I've mentioned, I already spoke to Mr. Kiernan, he's willing to do it. I'd be happy to mention it to Grace Morrison and Kendall Peabody. I don't know anybody from the fire department, but
You got Jillian Morton down there,
And Jessica Clark,
Julie Morton,
yeah,
Jillian Morton,
the owners of Cafe Soleil.
and the owner, yeah, Kierkegaard.
Lee.
Kierkegaard.
At the Scarlet
Rose, yeah, Kierkegaard,
Connie,
yeah.
Connie and Mike. Okay,
May I make a suggestion?
yes, ma'am.
Create a little flyer and stick it in their doors and say, would you like to be part of this roundtable? Go up one side and down the other. For the businesses.
And Ken, I think it's going to
Okay.
be,
I
it's
don't-
not going to be us leading it, it's going to be
It's them.
the contractor that's hired for this leading it, right?
That's right.
So we're not voting people in, we're just making some suggestions. And they will host meetings
Right.
and do it.
That's right. We're providing the space and the list of people for,
So it would not be an official town committee or anything like that?
no, it wouldn't be.
That way, if we vote on it and vote its creation, it is official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And what comes with that? What kind of obligations?
Open meeting law.
Agendas,
Open
meetings?
meeting law, open meeting law.
Quorums, all that sort of stuff, so
Don't wanna
if
go
you've
there.
got the, you'd have to have at least 7 members there on a 12-member group to open it up, or you can't take any action, things like this. I think this should be more of an ad hoc and getting some input the area. So we were talking about this as a steering committee. That's different. A steering committee is, you're creating a town committee.
Sure.
Mhm.
So I don't think we're doing that.
No, we're not.
No, I think we'll probably want some kind of a formal committee when it goes into implementation, but at this
Right.
point in the planning, we don't need a formal committee.
Right, and so I wouldn't call it anything, we're just sending some recommendations to the contractor for maybe people to interview or for them to utilize.
Do we
It's
have
not
a,
to, it's just,
I think
it's not to hide anything, it's so unwieldy to, and these are business persons that have a very full agenda in their lives, so the expectation for us to say, hey, hop on board, and some of them are already on other things to do this, it's,
do we already have a contractor? No.
Yes.
So you-
we do.
Then the contractor is?
Halverson, Ty and Bond.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, then, instead of a committee, with all the attendant burden
right.
of that, are we talking about instead putting together a list of likely interested parties that could very well show up at a meeting if we tell them where it is, when it is, and why they're being asked to come?
I think we have to give them a little more formal task, give them some parameters so they know exactly what they're doing.
I think that you give the list of suggested people who might be interested to Halverson, Ty and Bond and let them do the work. Because then we are totally out of it and we have made no recommendations.
That sounds like a good idea.
Not playing.
We'd be doing some of their work in that we
Yeah,
would assemble the
we're
list,
giving you some names.
phone numbers,
Yeah.
addresses, and then we let them contact them and tell them, show up at our meeting.
Because the instant we make a recommendation, we've become involved.
Yeah, well, we are involved in it in some way anyway,
Mm.
but,
So what do you think, Ken? What should we do?
I think
if
we should tell these people that they're potentially getting a call from the consultant.
Okay, should I write a letter and send it to all of them?
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay,
Tell them that their interest in what happens in the downtown is key to changes we make, and that we're looking for their input to the consultant. We're providing their names to the consultants for input on the coastal facilities planning, and they may get a call from the consultant for organizing meetings.
okay. Let me take a whack at it, and then I'll come to your office and we can refine that. Unless there's an objection from the rest of the committee. As your chair, I'd be representing your view that we want to reach out to interested residents and business owners to inform them of the planning effort and to inform them of what the contractor might be asking of the public, and that we want them to be, we invite their involvement.
Fine with me.
And I would probably want to make that letter public, because really anybody in the town should be able to go to that meeting that Halverson pulls together. Is there any objection to that, Ken? Any reason not to do that?
If it becomes a larger public meeting, there's less of a chance of the intimate conversation.
Okay. All right, I'll put together a list then of people that we've just discussed that we think would be active contributing members of such a group that could bring diverse insight into the discussions with the contractor. I'll craft a draft letter. Ken and I will refine it. And if it looks like it's ready to go, I may bounce it off you individually if you don't mind. Then we'll go ahead and send that out and start to prep the groundwork here for this kind of public engagement.
So Ken, we'll do basically what we did, and I'm sorry to interrupt, what we did with the downtown businesses before when we had the meeting over at,
Stone Path Mall.
Yeah, was it Stone Path, and then we had some, was it Stone Path both times, or was it, we had them somewhere else too? We did over at Rosebrook.
Yeah, we did, Rosebrook too.
Rosebrook too, have the groups like that, then I would open it up to a larger, it's more like when you have the findings or something, you open it up to more as a larger public space. This is the, I agree with Ken, cause you wanna keep it small enough where the people that are in there are willing to engage and talk and,
Right,
you know, if it's a full, you want it more of a round table discussion than an audience and presenter situation,
right.
so.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as an action item, and I'll have that hopefully ready to go, and Ken and I can report out at the next meeting in the new year on our progress there.
By the way, I apologize, my hard stop was moved to 11.
Okay, good, all right. Let's jump to
Judy just
discussion.
kicked me and said I need to say 10:30.
Yeah.
10:30. She knows me. Well, I'll jump around then and hit the ones that I think we absolutely have to touch on today. Discussion and possible vote on transfer of ownership of the Discover Wareham website. Ken, you asked that we put this on the agenda.
I did, we have a Discover Wareham website. It's actually a WordPress website. So it's not under the town IT department. It's a separate website. It was created for us by our branding consultant.
Just gotta drop that.
And it has a $30 a month charge that's on my credit card, and I'm gonna take it off of my credit card. So it depends on whether or not the town or the WIA picks up the cost of the $30 a month.
Yeah, can we prepay on something like that? Call up, get an annualized bill or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
So who runs it?
It's a WordPress website.
Is that this thing that has, it focuses on some businesses that we have and it has the, I don't know, has waves or something in it?
Yeah, it goes through a series of pages on the different aspects of the town.
Had the flyover originally over the downtown. and
Yeah, it has
stuff.
a flyover in it, and it has lists of open space and business areas and
So if
It
it's the thing I see when I write Discover Wareham, when I Google Discover Wareham.
yeah, you'll find it. There's a link on the town webpage, and we can,
Yeah, so Ken, basically what you're asking is get it off your credit card.
yeah,
let's
Okay.
do
exactly.
it.
So let's just see if we can get it annualized, Ken.
All right,
Okay, so that doesn't require our action. You're taking care of that, Derek?
Well, it would just be, if we're annualized, then you've got, they will tell us it's $360 for the year. Maybe because you're paying a full year ahead, maybe they give you 10% off or something, I don't know.
Mhm.
So, and then it's just us paying the bill as the WRA, so it's,
Right,
The WRA paying for it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
So the motion at our next meeting would be that the WRA will agree to pay X amount of dollars a year to maintain the Discover Wareham website.
We haven't been doing that already? I thought that was the
yeah,
WRA's
how did you get
been-
your money back?
I get it reimbursed.
Yeah, but what's it charged to?
Right.
Your budget or the WRA?
All right,
Okay, so it's already being charged
Yeah,
to
So we
WRA,
don't need to do that.
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
All Ken's asking is, can you please not put it on my credit card? So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any, Ken, it's more an action on your end, right?
Yeah, it sounds administrative.
Right,
but-
it's-
so-
yeah.
But
Since-
I agree with it, get it off your
Oh,
credit
I
card.
agree too, 100%.
And put on dance. So-
Okay, so I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Kind of question I have about that website is who maintains it? Who actually puts updated information in there?
I've been trying to update the information in there, but I've been unsuccessful in figuring out the coding on it.
So
Okay.
do you think it's worth it to keep it up, or just to keep the name for a little bit till we can get it? Maybe we can,
I think it's a nice idea. I've been getting a lot of spam email from Russian entities, though, in the meantime.
why do you think it's spam? Yeah, so I think, and actually I'd like to get another flyover, cause I remember somebody, that was done right before those buildings were taken down, before Danny's project started, so this summer, a nice, visual with the new buildings and stuff would really be impactful. And the, Whiteside Memorial dumpster enclosures.
So I think we protect the website, but we figure out how to make it better later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We protect it by paying for it directly out of WRA.
yeah, and there should
Right.
be businesses highlighted on it.
Right, exactly.
I thought, was that made in Wareham, is that a different one?
Maine Wareham is a different website, yeah.
Yeah, I've got it up on my phone right now. It's a nice looking website. It does have that flyover you were talking about, Derek. It has a logo for Wareham. I guess that's our town logo
So,
for marketing purposes with a sailboat on it.
What did you just type up?
You can, here you go, Discover Wareham. Yeah, it looks like the branding company did a nice job. It's an attractive website.
Yeah,
Oh, this is the one where I told them they couldn't use our town seal anymore, because it's a violation of the law.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You told Discover Wareham that?
No, I told the one that he just got
okay.
up.
Okay. All right, Ken, so it sounds like you're just gonna take care of getting that off your credit card and getting it billed annually to the Wareham Redevelopment Authority.
yeah, I don't know what they want for, they wanted a credit card for, assurance of payment. I don't know what they're looking for now. and
Yeah, but if we prepay it, it shouldn't be an issue.
Shouldn't be.
Right.
I,
Okay. So do we need to authorize prepayment, or,
No,
Nope,
because we're already
okay.
paying for it.
all right. Ken, any more on that item?
No,
Ken, while I have you, update on the WRA internship program. Have we had any other interested applicants that have come forward?
no, we haven't.
No, okay. Are we continuing to reach out to the likely universities that might have somebody of interest? Bridgewater State, UMass Dartmouth?
I haven't reached out to them lately. We
Harry
do
College.
that every once in a while.
Okay,
It also might be going through the MMA in the Commonwealth, the new things they're putting together, as they're trying to focus in on municipal jobs. There's issues finding talent everywhere, but you have no base really coming into these jobs, so there's a full generation, maybe two missing. Which, as the retirement wave is coming, is going to be a major issue for municipalities.
And a great opportunity for the Jareds of the world.
Yeah. And it's
it is.
the,
does the MMA have a centralized site where the internships can be listed for various towns?
I don't know, let's take a look at it for the MMA.org.
Okay.
So. Not the mixed martial arts MMA.
Although it's a lot like mixed martial arts, isn't it? Okay,
The DOR specifically, but this is more Division of Local Services, DLS, is really focusing on financial as well, officials, because accounting nobody's going to school for municipal accounting. Those are going
Really?
into accounting it's different
Going-
beast than corporate accounting and such, so.
I wonder if it'd be worth putting an ad in Wareham Week, advertising the internship.
I think you need a broader
Yeah, you need a much
distribution
broader-
in Wareham Week.
You don't think that would help, though, if somebody in town knew
Nope.
a student that is...
No, I would go directly to where people really are looking.
Okay, like MMA.org,
Mhm.
okay. Derek, I recall from my own graduate school days that there was an organization of city and county managers, and that's where you could find advertisements for assistant town manager, assistant town administrator.
You've got, there's a couple
Police chief.
different ones. You've got, well, the MMA does it for all the local stuff. They have a jobs board. You've got the National League of Cities. You've got the International City Managers Association. There's a bunch of different ones.
Are any of those, in your opinion, professional opinion, a good place to post an internship announcement that would get to the right audience?
No, I think they're more hyper-specialized for the people that are already within the realm. I don't see very many students looking at those types of sites because the ICMA, you have to be a member of, NLC too.
Okay. You're not a member?
I am, the ICMA, I'm pretty sure NLC. ICMA gave me some sort of award for combat duration. Got on my desk somewhere.
Okay. Hey Jared, when do you have to leave?
I'm just kind of here, so.
Do you mind, could you stick around? I just want to pick your brain a bit after we're done about this topic. Thank you. Okay, wow, we're flying through the agenda faster than I anticipated. Follow-up discussion and possible vote on 2017 Main Street Business Improvement Program proposals. That's a document that Ken resurrected from 6 years ago. It looks like something, Ken, that maybe the predecessor to the WRA worked on, is that right? Or developed?
No, it's something I developed,
I'm sorry?
something I put together.
Oh, you put it together, okay. Did everybody have a chance to review that when I shot that around? No?
I won't lie, Dad, missed that one.
No,
I don't know if you sent that around.
and I don't think, I'm not sure you did, actually. I don't remember seeing it, and I certainly didn't
I
read
thought
it.
I did, okay.
I'm more of the belief that I missed it than you didn't send it, but either way, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, if I did send it, I'll resend it. If I didn't, I apologize, I meant to send that because Ken sent it to me and it
Oh,
looked
I
like
might have just
something,
Totally ignored it. I was,
okay. Let me, I'll dig that up
can we
and
put it on the next agenda?
I think it'll fit with one of the items that we're gonna talk about in January anyways, which is our overall strategy and devising our priorities. So
Mhm.
I'll resend that and have that on the agenda for our next meeting. Next item, follow-up discussion of possible vote on other Wareham Village Merchants Way initiatives. For example, a Wareham Village Association of some sort, weed control, old train depot utilization, farmer's market, April sip and stroll, et cetera.
But doesn't that really go, I mean, other than the sip and stroll, that really goes along with that
Decision-
unofficial group that we talked about, the next item down. The steering committee really is gonna be talking about a whole bunch of those things too. I mean, coastal path steering committee, aren't they, or not?
You could branch out a little bit more, yeah. that's
Yeah, I mean, I
possible.
think I think that covers it all.
It's a good idea, actually.
The sip and stroll, I think we wanted to say, yeah, let's get it done, let's make sure that it gets done,
Mhm.
but the rest of it, I would offload it onto,
Onto the
that.
contractor and the citizens group.
I would.
Okay.
The contractor's gonna have a scope that focuses on the coastal facilities
Right,
per
but
se.
in these discussions, people are gonna say, well, that's nice to talk about this, but this is also part of it.
Right,
It's
this is how we're gonna utilize the
Yeah.
facilities.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see where the weed control would fall into that, old train depot
mm,
would be part of that. Maybe
that would
farmer's
be my
market.
suggestion.
I can include mention of that in the letter then? Is that an idea?
Yeah.
Just to
you're
set the
inter-
stage for the,
You're interested in their ideas about the revitalization of downtown, so that's a biggie. And if you just say coastal path steering committee, that's,
more narrow,
to me,
okay? All right, let me see if I can do that. I'll figure out a way to craft that letter so that we can broaden the scope of the group while making them useful to the contractor that's looking at the coastal path design.
Or even if they're not, they're a group that can come back, with spokesmen saying, hey, we have a great idea
Mhm.
to spray Agent Orange along the rail lines. Been here too long.
All right. Next item. Next steps required to place an air rights article on the warrant for town meeting. We talked about air rights being a complex issue. And another aspect of the urban renewal plan, mentioned in the urban renewal plan, is something that might help attract private investment to Merchants Way and Main Street. Should we, the WRA, be trying to push this issue, or should we just sit back and let somebody else take the initiative? Is, I guess, my
Well, we have
question.
we have to have our involvement in it. I don't know if we're ready to do that yet at this point. One example I have is the redevelopment in Stamford, Connecticut. It's a project that was one of the flagships of HUD as a successful redevelopment project. And one of the reasons I'm using it as an example is they had an airwalk themselves, because they had a big mall, enclosed mall in the downtown, and they had a lot of office buildings that were being built around there with a design that they'd have several stories of parking garage underneath and then the office building on top. So the street level was pretty much dead, and what they wanted was to have a walkway that allowed people to connect across the tops of the garages to the shopping center and the mall in the middle.
And that
It
worked?
didn't work out so well, because what happened is the design of each of the projects, each of the buildings, there was a different elevation that ended up at the top where there'd be a connection between the properties. So it didn't align really well as an easy walkway, connection back into the town center. So they rethought it and focused on street level businesses instead. And that's how the success of the Stamford downtown has been continued. That's just a warning as to how this could end up if it's done as an individual project type approach, if we don't have a good plan for how these things link together.
Okay.
I was the one who cautioned us to be very careful about pushing this without having a plan
Mhm.
that makes sense for everybody. This is a hot button, and without the step-by-step process of why this is good, how it will succeed, not that it will succeed, but how it can succeed, you're gonna get nailed at town meeting.
Mhm.
Because you don't have enough public buy-in. I don't think.
Okay.
I guess what we need to do then is, if you want to get started on this, is to come up with a visualization of the air right development, and how that would look in terms of the development and across what's there now and what it could be. We have one of the examples in the urban renewal plan now.
Mhm.
Of something that could be air rights, but I think we have to have a little bit more
Okay.
and carry that forward.
Well, why isn't this part of the Coastal Path Steering Committee Hug It Together group?
Because the Coastal Path Steering Committee is,
Coastal Path, I get it, but what I'm saying is, again, ideas come and unless you smack them on the head, they continue to spread out. That part of the conversation of the redevelopment of the town talks about climate change and sea rise and all that other stuff, but it also talks about, here are the facts, here's the vision. And unless you have the facts, you can't have a vision.
I think what you're talking about then is making this more of a actual steering committee. And I think having them take a stronger role in coming up with the concepts that we want to implement in the downtown.
And I just think it's too early. I really do.
We're shoving 10 pounds of dirt into a 5-pound sack.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
We've got,
So I'm hearing no sentiment right now anyways for further developing the idea of an article for town warrant.
No,
On the average.
I can't see us,
doing it.
you know, so that's what I'm just trying to figure out, Ken. I'm sorry, because it's the Stanford thing, it didn't click in my brain, but like a Simpsons episode, it might have just flown out in my brain for a little bit. I'm trying to figure out, so when we're talking air rights, we're talking about building out and over. Most likely the underneath is still the roadway or the parking, which helps with the future flooding, which then your walkway is up top there. You've got an open air walkway then you've got basically retail front along there facing the water as well, on that level, and trying to keep it as almost continuous rather than this cafe gets a deck over here and this, this apartment complex gets a deck over here and there's no
Right,
interconnectivity.
Right.
So is that what we're talking about, just the giant walkway? Are we talking about the,
Well,
you know,
both.
gap tooth approach?
The air rights is to create land for development, and we're using the Merchants Way as the air above it as creating the land for the expansion of development, so there's more square footage that can be created.
Right. So, but that's what I'm asking, is the goal, what do we think here? Is the goal to have that as a building the whole way? Are we talking about having almost a walkway up top and then stepped back, or step back up here with a flat, what are we thinking?
Well, that's what the question is, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, we have the concepts of design.
Cause then we'd have to, that's what you'd bring to
Visualization.
town meeting. There's no way to explain this without visualization, I don't think, because it's, you'll hear every horror story that, right off the, you're selling this to create a monolith or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you just painted for me, the picture of a big, extensive, over the Merchants Way piece of property, deck, buildings, whatever, does sound too big. Sounds like it's too much, not something we would be able to, in our lifetimes, craft without a major sweeping clear of a lot of other things down there in Merchants Way and Main Street. But I can foresee where small businessmen and women who have a restaurant, a nightclub, whatever, might want to build out a deck over Merchants Way, where they could have al fresco dining, but above the parking, not in between El Mariachis and the adjacent building, for example, but something like that. And I can see where a small businessman might want to do that, but right now, we don't have anything in place for them to be able to even come before the town and say, here's what my plan is, I'd like to put out a deck over the town. How does this air rights thing work? We haven't decided how the air rights thing would work. We haven't gotten the town's approval to provide for air rights.
We're in a chicken and an egg situation, right? Because to
Right.
go to town meeting, to do air rights, which is disposition of town property, we need to have a proposal to the residents.
Mhm.
We don't have a proposal to the residents, so what are we bringing to them? Cause I remember, God, it had to be almost 10 years ago, a selectman saying, trust us.
And look where it got us.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the national political climate sure hasn't gotten better.
Did you guys take some input
Sure.
You haven't
Oh,
posted a
because it's on the
hearing,
agenda.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
To me,
We will if you wanna send an email later, or the public comment period on the
Yeah.
next one.
If you have a public comment period, I'll wait, or if not, I'll send you an email.
you can't make a public comment on this today because it's on the agenda.
Okay.
So that would be a violation of the open meeting law.
Thank you.
To me,
This
and this
isn't
is
an
just
open
me,
Yes.
me being old
It's not a
school,
hearing.
old town. Air rights are city things. And that's what we keep hearing, Wareham is not a city. Ignore what Mr. Sullivan may say from time to time about the issues facing us.
We certainly have city issues.
And we certainly have city issues. To me, and again, I just recommended, let's invest by spending money. To me, suggesting air rights over smelly dumpsters, a rotten back street, and a flooding back street doesn't make sense.
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, that makes all the sense in the world, because you're bringing things up and over out of there. You're covering your smelly dumpsters and shielding all that.
But you still haven't protected the buildings upon which the structures depend for their lifeblood. And that's where I have a real issue. That street will be underwater, in 50 years. And again, maybe that's not the horizon we're looking at, but I just think the political climate for flying this is not a good one right now, just plain not. We have so many other issues, it would get trampled.
Okay. I keep bringing it up because we've put it in our draft
know
urban
that.
renewal plan as a significant element of the strategy that might attract more private investment to that area, to Wareham Village.
And it was one of the things that people objected to the most. It was the one thing that had the hackles in the back of their neck going up.
I think people objected to going up higher, but I don't think I recall objection to going out over Merchant's Way with decks or expanding restaurant space, that type of thing.
I just would recommend against it right now.
Okay. Hearing no sentiment right now to push this issue further, we'll move on. And Ken, you comfortable with that for now?
I think I'll still continue to look into this conceptual visualization of the
Okay.
IRS as an idea to present to people.
Okay. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if a business owner down there does approach the town at some point and say, hey, I'd like to think about air rights. I have an idea. I think I would like to be open to that as a redevelopment authority, but I know the planning board and other bodies in town would have to be open as well.
We've already had a business owner approach us about that.
And, okay,
Then I think you need to develop more so that you have something that you are proposing that has a visual. Visual learning is a really basic way of learning,
Right. I think we can do that, pull it off.
yeah.
and again, air rights is a way, as Ken put it, of creating real estate, town real estate that potentially can reap benefits for the town and for business owners. So I think it's a viable, reasonable thing to consider and to develop further. Last item before we go to the rest of the agenda is the outcome of discussions with Tremont Nail Factory Master Developer. Ken, I know you were trying to get a meeting with Mr. Huggins. That didn't materialize, I guess, this week?
Actually, it did,
Oh, it did? Okay.
yeah.
Is that something we can talk about later then? I know we're running short on time. Is there something we should discuss here now, or should we tee up an agenda item for January?
January would probably be a good time to talk about it.
Okay. I'll do that. And moving to report from the Director of Planning, Ken?
I have nothing else to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Member comments, new initiatives, Mr. Sullivan?
No, one of the things, as I said, we've been approached about, doing some artist shanties over in Onset, and, maybe potentially that'd be something to consider going on the back end of Merchants Way in the future, a couple little spots.
Really?
A little by 10 sheds.
Huh.
Just need to have some electricity to them, but if you look, Hyannis is the example, one, if you look at their artist shanties.
Artist shanties, okay. And had the
It
people
can
that have
be.
proposed that, have they given you a visualization, a depiction of what it would look like?
If you look at it, yeah, that's why I say go to, just Google the artist shanties from Hyannis, that's really the,
Hyannis, okay,
yeah.
all right.
So,
Thank you.
be worth taking a look at, and this is, you know, I think it's something we should actually support if we're looking for some of the businesses. While we're focused on Main Street, there might be some things we can do for some of the other sections of town that aren't as heavy lifting, and this could be.
Okay,
We're talking about 10 by 10 sheds, probably.
is that something that'll be ready for prime time and discussion in January, do you think?
We can get some quotes and just see what it would look like, you know, the sheds themselves they're not cheap, but they're not huge money. It's the costs of the, running the electricity to them, and then also just try and make sure that you can do it legally from the inspections department. But 10 by 10 sheds they fall under the zoning regs,
That's right.
so,
And that would be on town land?
yeah, town land.
Okay,
You know, a couple different spots, so for Onset, maybe one or two down by the pier in the green space area where that former kiosk is, where the people stood there. And then maybe some higher up onto the bluffs behind the band shell area, which is still, you know, the goal is obviously not to break up any of the visuals. That section where the band shell is until left is not decree land, so that's good.
and you said somebody came forward with that proposal, is that an organization that brought that up?
Kat had brought it up before, we've talked about it in the past too.
Okay.
It's, you go through there, it's nice. The whole goal is to make areas, for lack of a better term, sticky. It's just like a website. You want, when you get people to there, you want them to stick around. The longer they're there, the more money they spend, which is better for the merchants. You know, you don't, somebody wants to have lunch, walk around, do something, that's what you want.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of times you use restaurants to do that. Good restaurants beget other good restaurants, which then beget small retail space. So, yeah, what do you think, Ken?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
That
some
sounds
of
like a
these-
neat idea.
Yeah, some of these are get some people that maybe couldn't afford full retail space, and you know, they've got an opportunity, plus it's attractive to visitors and our residents alike.
Okay. Yeah, I went to that little Christmas craft fair down at the boat building in Onset a few days ago. And that was neat. That was a neat event. Nice little, great vendors. They had, they were local residents for the most part.
Yeah.
And they had nice things to sell. I could see that being, that type of a small retail operation being in one of these artist shanties.
Yeah, it's perfect. There's some more of the local stuff. While Onset does have some other, you know, they've got some well-established places that sell T-shirts, vending, other things. There's more things that could happen, so. And maybe even some of those retail stores, but you wanna just keep people walking around,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
Mashpee
neat idea.
Commons had done something similar to that. They did a line of smaller spaces on the outside of between the parking and the main shopping area.
Yeah, that's a neat idea. Thank you, Derek. Any other comments or new initiatives?
Nothing smart.
Okay. Ms. Whiteside,
Not that anything I ever say is.
Ms. Whiteside, anything?
The only thing I would sort of jump on what Derek was saying is, Alan Slavin has been working to get additional GATRA, service through Onset Village, particularly in the evenings, so that would help improve foot traffic, use traffic. So that's something that he is in fact working on, and working on pretty successfully with GATRA and Serpent.
Okay, great.
It's not my initiative, I'm reporting on somebody else's.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? No? I have no comments or initiatives, correspondence. Ken, any correspondence for the WRA?
No.
Okay. And I don't have meeting minutes yet from November 9th, so I'll defer that to our January meeting. And
You don't have them, or you didn't print them?
I don't think I ever got them.
Oh, you
I did?
do.
Okay, I'll look again.
Pretty sure.
I'll get with you afterwards then. And then before we adjourn, is there any other item that I've missed that we need to cover today? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to thank WCTV for being here today and bringing our meeting to the masses. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Please let the staff know at WCTV we appreciate their efforts. I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Made.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion passes. Our meeting is adjourned at 10:52. Thank you, everybody.